Hello everyone. This is the 23rd part of the story, I'm Voldemort. Chapter 158, Ceremony, Part 2. As the front doors of the ministry closed, the sound of the large crowd disappeared completely. The ministry must have some sort of sound-canceling spell active. Tom thought annoyingly as he wanted to hear the minister's speech. How am I supposed to know when she calls me? After a moment of thought, Tom decided to just crack the door a bit. As he cracks the door open, Tom hears the deafening cheers of the crowd once again. Outside the ministry, everything is decorated for Tom's ceremony. At the top of the long stairway leading to the ministry entrance, stood the minister at a podium. She's surrounded by upstanding members of the ministry along with all sorts of decorations and banners. To the left of the podium is a table holding a picture frame with purple padding. Attached to the purple padding is a golden medal with an M engraved on the front. At the bottom of the stairs, gates line the area, blocking the sea of people from moving forward. Thank you, thank you. Quiet down, please. The minister's voice carries over the crowd and slowly everyone shuts up. Thank you. Today we're here to award a man for doing what no other dared to attempt. When a dark lord appeared and threatened our world's survival, he stood up and fought for every single one of us. Without him, we would still be embroiled in a world filled with war. You all know the man I speak of. Tom Riddle is the most impressive young man to appear in a very long time. I would even go so far as to say he's the second coming of Merlin himself. As the crowd hears her call Tom the second coming of Merlin, they couldn't help but agree with loud cheers. The area outside the ministry is engulfed in loud voices, cheering Tom Riddle's name. The minister gives them a moment to get out their excitement, patiently waiting at the podium. As the crowd starts to simmer down again, Hortensia speaks up once again. I won't waste much more of your time. I know many of you only came here to see the man himself, so without further ado, I introduce you all to the man that ended the war and slew the Dark Lord Grindelwald, Order of Merlin, First Class, Tom Riddle. She announces as the crowd goes wild. Stepping aside from the podium, the minister looks back to see the door open. Tom comes walking out in his slim-fit tuxedo. Though, he didn't come out alone. On his arm is his beautiful fiancée, Drusilla Rosier, in a tight black dress. As the crowd sees Tom appear, the cheering becomes even more intense. The majority of the crowd have only ever seen Tom in the paper and came to see the man in the flesh. As Tom and Drusilla step up to the podium, the minister unclasped the medal from the padded frame and moved in Tom's direction. Congratulations, Mr. Riddle. The minister says as she steps in front of Tom and pins the medal on his tuxedo jacket. As the medal touches his jacket, magical fireworks fly into the sky, showing a cartoon-style duel between two people. Tom could only assume that's supposed to be him against Grindelwald. The firework duel ends with the light side winning and the crowd truly goes nuts. Thank you, Minister. Tom replies as Hortensia moves aside so Tom can get to the podium. Standing at the podium with Drusilla at his side, Tom waits for a minute for the rampaging crowd to calm down. Thank you. Please calm down though, or else we'll be here for the rest of the day. Tom jokes as his voice gets carried over the sea of people thanks to the enchanted podium. After a few moments, the crowd calms down enough for Tom to speak. Many of you know very little of me, so I thought I would spend my acceptance speech telling you about Tom Riddle. I was born and raised in an orphanage in London. Life wasn't immensely hard, but it wasn't easy either. Being born poor isn't fun as food was a scarce commodity, especially during the war. Tom says, his words resonating with the entire crowd. The war caused food shortages everywhere. Even the magical world had its own shortage. Almost everyone in the crowd experienced hunger during Grindelwald's rampage through the world. When I was younger, I always knew I had magic, but I called it my special powers. I thought I was the only one in the world with these abilities. At least until my Hogwarts letter arrived. The wizarding world opened my eyes to bigger things than just levitating toys or changing a bully's hair color. It showed me that not only am I magical, but the world is as well. Hogwarts was hard in the beginning. I was shunned by my own house for being the Muggle-born Slytherin, but after a few years, I showed my worth and was accepted by my peers. A few years into Hogwarts, I traveled to Gringotts to get a special test done. Tom says, and many of the lords and ladies listened curiously. Not many tests can be done at Gringotts by a Hogwarts student. Only one test came to everyone's mind. That's right, I went through an inheritance test. I'm sure many of you have gone through one as well. Who knows if you were related to some big-time wizarding family, right? Tom says, and everyone nods. Since I said I would tell you who Tom Riddle is, I feel I should let out a secret as well. Tom reaches into his pocket and pulls out one of his 3 air rings, placing it on his finger. My name is Tom Riddle, heir to the royal house of Pendragon. Chapter 159, Ceremony, End. The second Tom revealed his Pendragon lineage, the crowd went completely silent. That silence didn't last long as the crowd roared in excitement. It was so loud that it actually jump-scared Tom and everyone else on stage for a brief moment. When those on stage, like the minister and other high-level ministry workers, heard Tom's proclamation, they had mixed feelings about it. On one hand, they were immensely surprised and excited to hear the news of a living member of Wizarding Britain's royal family. On the other hand, this development is quite scary. Tom already has so much political power that it's hard to see that power rising any further, yet now they see it happening with their own eyes. Tom just went from a hero that ended a war to a heroic prince of the Wizarding world's beloved royal family. The same family Merlin himself served. Prince Tom Riddle Pendragon, Order of Merlin, First Class. The hero that ended the worst war in recent history. He would never be called king, as the government has long changed from what it once was, but his title will no doubt be that of a prince from now on. Tom just went from a worldwide sensation to a cemented superstar in just a few words. Not to mention the fact that he will now hold the Pendragon seat in the Wizengamot. The young man holds far more power in the wizarding world than any other has in a very long time. After a few moments of the crowd going absolutely nuts, Tom spoke up to quiet them down. All right, quiet down. Tom calls out and his voice is barely loud enough to quiet the rampaging sea of people. I know this is big news, but I just want to finish my acceptance speech by thanking those close to me. Important moments like this are best celebrated with those we care about. Tom turns and sends a quick wink towards his new fiancée. I would also like to thank every single person here tonight. Thank you for being here and I hope you all have a wonderful day. As Tom finished and walked back into the ministry, the crowd once again went insane. They loved Tom and now that he's also a member of the long-dead Pendragon royal family, they are complete fanatics. As Tom and Drusilla strolled back into the ministry, everyone on stage followed closely behind them. They needed their questions answered in order to verify Tom's claim. The second the minister entered the building with everyone behind her, she started firing off questions. Mr. Riddle, I'm sorry to be the one asking this, but I need you to verify your claim. If you really are a surviving member of the Pendragon royal family, then that's amazing and I would love to be the first to welcome you to the Wizengamot, but we can't just take you at your word. Especially when it comes to something like this. The minister says with others nodding around her. Tom nods as well as he understands their point of view. I can swear an oath on my magic so we can get this done easily. Tom says and everyone nods with surprised expressions. Oaths aren't usually used for something like this, but Tom didn't want his inheritance tests leaked. He would rather not have the public learn of his connection to two of the most hated wizards to ever live. Morgana, the most hated enemy of everyone's hero, Merlin himself. Salazar Slytherin, the known hater of the larger population of the wizarding world, Muggleborns. It's best to keep those hidden forever, or at least until he's fully cemented his position in the wizarding world. I, Tom Riddle, swear on my magic that I am the heir to the royal house of Pendragon. Tom gives a short oath with his old bony wand, so they don't call him out on faking the oath. Lumos. A bright light fills the entrance hall of the ministry, shocking everyone present. Even Druella's parents stood rooted to the ground, stunned by Tom's hidden heritage. I apologize for making you swear an oath, Prince Riddle, but it had to be done. The minister, along with everyone with her, gave Tom a small formal bow. Although Tom holds no power other than his seat in the Wizengamot, his title of prince puts him a step above the lords and ladies of any other houses. It's customary to show the respect that his title dictates. No problem, I understand completely. Tom says with an understanding smile. If you don't mind, we'll be on our way. I have some things to get done after this. Tom makes up a random excuse to leave. Of course, have a nice day. The minister reluctantly escorts Tom back to the Flaw Hall. Thank you for your time, and please consider supporting me in the coming election. She throws that in as Tom and the Rosiers disappear through the fireplace. Minister, what do we do now? One is the minister's flunkies asked. We do our best to stay on that boy's good side. At first, he was a hero that would hold a good amount of political power. Now, he's an untouchable king that could ruin careers with a single word. Keep in that boy's good graces and we'll be fine. He may not support my re-election, but that's fine as long as he doesn't completely ruin my career and reputation. The minister warned them, and many took that warning to heart. Chapter 160, Aftermath. The days after Tom's award ceremony was booming for the news. Front pages were filled with headlines about Tom's announcement of his heritage. Royal family lives on, was the headline of the Prophet on the day after Tom's award ceremony. Some of the people didn't fully believe him at first, but soon the ministry put out a statement to the press affirming his claim. When that statement was released, the lords, ladies, and other high-standing individuals that were skeptical started sending congratulatory letters to Tom. If the owls he received before the ministry's statement weren't crazy enough, now Tom has hundreds of unopened letters piled in his study. Of course, every single one of them has been tested for any tampering, curses, potions, etc. While all of this was happening, Tom decided to hide away from the world for a little while. When he left the house before, he would get stopped for small things like autographs and handshakes. Now that he announced something like this, Tom is 100% sure that being in public would be a horrible idea. He doesn't want to be mobbed by a stampede of crazy fans. Just picturing the herds of people surrounding him sends chills down his spine. With his downtime, Tom went to speak with his mother about what he talked to Lady Death about at their last meeting. Searching around Camartage, Tom found the Ancient One instructing some students in one of the many courtyards used for training. Waiting for her to finish up, Tom walked over and made his presence known. Hey, can we talk in private? Tom asks his bald mother. Turning to see her son behind her, the Ancient One could see that whatever he wanted to talk about seemed serious. Yeah, follow me. She agrees and leads Tom to an empty room nearby. What's the matter? When I was speaking to Lady Death, she mentioned that she can't enter the mortal realm. That was annoying to hear, as I have an extremely strong servant that can't help me in the material world, but she does have an avatar. Said avatar would have to serve me as well, but I need to break her out of her imprisonment. Care to take a guess as to who the avatar I'm talking about is? Tom explains and asks. At Tom's question, Only one name came to the Ancient One's mind. Only one person has the attribute of death and is currently imprisoned. Hela Odinsdottir? She answered with a raised eyebrow. The masters of the mystic arts haven't had any contact with Asgard, as they are a secret organization that protects Earth or Midgard in Asgardian terms. Why would they need to deal with Asgard? As long as they don't pose a threat to the Earth and its people, which they haven't so far, the Ancient One and the Masters of Kamar-Taj have no interest in getting involved with Asgard. Although, that doesn't mean they haven't kept tabs on Asgardian news. Especially the news of the crowned princess of Asgard being imprisoned by her own father. Thousands of years ago, Odin banished his daughter Hela from Asgard and imprisoned her in Hel after a failed coup attempt. Hela later attempted to escape, prompting Odin to send the Valkyrie to stop her. She successfully overpowered the warriors' women, killing all but one, Brunhilde. Odin intervened before Hela could escape, defeating her and returning her back to her prison. Correct. Tom said as if he were the host of a game show. You want to break Hela out of Hel? You do understand how unstable she is, correct? She's been through so much war from such a young age that I'm unsure whether she could live without it anymore. The Ancient One started to explain to Tom why this would be a horrible idea, but Tom cut her off before she could go on. Look, I get it. She is severely unstable due to having horrible parents and fighting in wars since she was a child. Although I admit that is all correct, I'm told by Lady Death that she can be brought under control. I just have to break her out and knock her unconscious. Death will take care of the rest. Tom cuts her off and explains further. The Ancient One simply stays quiet after hearing this. She is worried about her son's well-being. He may be strong, but he's not as strong as the thousands of years old avatar of death itself, or rather herself. How do you plan to break the barrier set by Odin? Even with all my years of knowledge, I don't feel confident in doing so. Also, how do you plan on knocking out Hela? She's most likely far stronger than you. If she gets free, you won't be able to defend yourself. His mother voices all of her concerns. Well, I was hoping you would know or send me in the right direction to get past the barrier. As for knocking her out, I have to work on that. Though, I promise I won't do anything without having a plan in place that I'm confident in. Tom assures, and the Ancient One sighs tiredly. She knows that she can't talk him out of this. He's far stronger than he used to be thanks to being the snake avatar and the master of death. For the first time, she realized that she can't control Tom's actions or protect him if he were to come into any danger. He's probably stronger than her at this point, so anything that could be a danger to him would be especially dangerous to her as well. Sighing once again, the Ancient One decided to simply go with what Tom wants and aid him as best as she can. If you want to break or subvert Odin's barrier, you'll have to study Asgardian magic. Chapter 161 Schemes. If you want to break or subvert Odin's barrier, you'll have to study Asgardian magic. The Ancient One says as she decided to help Tom as best as she can. Hearing his mother say this, a small smile bloomed on his lips. With this, Tom knows his mother is all right with him doing this. She may not like it, but she won't stop him. All right, I'm no stranger to studying and magical practice. Do you have any hidden books on Asgardian magic, because I've scanned through the library and haven't found much? Everything I've seen seems to be of a fairly low level. Tom asks, knowing his mother has a hidden stash of books, not suitable for the library of Kamar-Taj. No, I'm sorry to say that what little books we have on Asgardian magic are already housed in the library. The Ancient One shakes her head. With those words, Tom's plans just became a lot harder to realize. Thoughts on how to steal from Asgard started formulating in Tom's mind. The Ancient One seemed to be able to follow Tom's train of thought, as she frowned slightly at him. If you're thinking what I think you're thinking, then stop right now. She says sternly, like a mother berating her child. Asgard is far more advanced than you think. Our ways of using the mystic arts are similar, yet very different at the same time. If you were to go there with the intent to rob them, the chance of you getting caught is very high. Not much is said about Asgard in the movies, but Tom still hopes to be able to rob them blind. Although not much is said, that doesn't mean nothing was revealed at all. First, Odin is powerful as hell. Especially with that spear, Gungnir, at his side. If he can make a barrier that even the Ancient One can't bypass or destroy, then he is truly someone Tom should be wary of. Although Odin is a powerful adversary, he isn't the one that Tom fears the most. That position is taken up by the gatekeeper himself, Heimdall. Heimdall possesses tremendous sensory capabilities far beyond that of any Asgardians, which made Odin appoint him the gatekeeper to Asgard. His sight itself extends to all of the 9 realms, and his hearing is so sharp and precise that he heard the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif conspiring against Loki from his post in the movie. Tom isn't sure how to hide from someone like that. Would his new powers from the Deathly Hallows hide him from Heimdall's all-seeing eyes? It's said that the cloak can hide its wearer from death itself, but that could have been a lie for all Tom knows. If it could hide him from her, then it should be able to work against Asgard's gatekeeper. He'll have to speak to Lady Death and find out. Other than those 2 monsters, Tom has to worry about Frigga, who was said to be a very powerful sorceress. It was Frigga who taught Loki how to cast illusions, resulting in his exceptional skill in the field of sorcery. Thor shouldn't be too much of a problem, as he is more brawn than brains. It's his adoptive brother that would cause more of a hindrance. As stated before, Loki was taught all he knows by his mother, Frigga. He may not be as skilled and powerful as her, but he's still someone to look out for. I'm sure there are other powerful Asgardians that weren't mentioned in the movies as well. Tom thought, as the idea to steal from Asgard became smaller and smaller. Asgard itself is a small, planetary body that serves as home to the Asgardians, a race of long-lived humanoid beings, born with power far beyond the people of Earth. It is not round like the Earth, doesn't spin on its axis, and does not revolve around a star. It is a flat mass that would elate any flat Earth believer. From Tom's recollection, Asgard is just one giant city floating in space. Although, that could be different as it was never fully explained. If it is one big city, that makes guarding it from intruders like himself all the easier. Without having to worry about other cities, towns, villages, and other settlements. Asgard can focus all of its barriers and military power in one area. Once again Tom's hopes of robbing Asgard diminish. There is a small hope though. There are natural nexus portals that exist on Asgard, due to deposits of the wormhole-sensitive, crystal-like material used in the construction of the Bifrost Bridge. These portals are in direct contact with the roots of Yggdrasil, a tree-like cosmic grid that connects the 9 realms. Loki was said to use these nexus portals to go wherever he pleased unnoticed. Though did he really go unnoticed, or did his father simply allow him his freedom? With Heimdall's all-seeing universal vision, Tom isn't so sure that Odin wasn't informed of Loki's comings and goings. At this point, all of Tom's hopes and dreams of stealing from Asgard are dead and buried. His mother is right. After a long pause of contemplating his odds, Tom admits his conclusion out loud. All right, I admit that you're right, but there has to be a way to get my hands on some Asgardian magic. Is there not a universal black market that sells these things or something? Tom asks. I'm afraid any person or group stupid enough to advertise stolen Asgardian goods would receive a visit from Thor, Loki, and the Warriors 3. The Ancient One ruins all of Tom's hopes. Is there no way to get this done? Tom asks sullenly. I do have an idea. Chapter 162 Study in Asgard? Is there no way to get this done? Tom asks sullenly, as his chances of robbing Asgard didn't look good. I do have an idea, his mother says with a look of contemplation. Tom's crushed hope seemed to bloom once again at her words. What is it? Tom asks hopefully. I don't know if it's the best idea. The Ancient One looks hesitant to reveal it. Just say it and we'll see if it's bad or not, Tom says impatiently. Well, you could simply ask to learn from them. I don't believe they would react violently to a simple question. You will either be told yes or no, the Ancient One says as if it was the obvious thing to do. Huh? Tom stared dumbly at his mother, as he wonders why he didn't think of that. Would they be willing to teach me though? And why do you think it would be such a bad idea in the first place? I'm unsure whether they would be willing or not, but it's worth a try. What's the worst that could happen? They say no and you come back here, his mother explains with a shrug. As for why I think it would be such a bad idea, we would be revealing the magical communities of Earth. I could be mistaken, but I don't believe Asgard or any of the other realms are aware of us or the wizarding world, the Ancient One continues. Although Odin has become very lax and hands-off in his ruling compared to the Allfather of the past, I'm sure he still considers Midgard to be under his rule. I'm unsure how he would handle a growing magical community he didn't know about. Though I'm fairly certain he wouldn't react harshly, but it's not like I know the man personally, she says with a conflicted expression. The Ancient One wishes she knew more so she could help Tom, but she nor any of the masters of the mystic arts have had any contact with Asgard. In fact, they do their best to avoid anything Asgardian, as to keep Camartage as hidden as possible. Well, it's not like I have to make this decision right now. Before leaving the planet to study from godlike aliens, I would have to finish my last year at Hogwarts first. Not to mention the other plans I have in motion, among other things. Until then, I'll just focus on my studies and try to find a way to knock out Hela, Tom says, placating the Ancient One's worries. I agree, that would be for the best, she says, smiling at her son's sensibility. Holding off on his decision, Tom spent the last of the summer as he usually does. Other than his usual routine of studying, combat training, magical practice, etc., Tom has been progressing rapidly in his technological knowledge. Although his body has already been enhanced due to his last ritual, Tom still thinks that he could go further with the super soldier procedure. Even if he can't be enhanced further by the serum, Tom could use it on his trusted subordinates. Just thinking of his own small army of magically loyal super soldiers brings a smile to his face. Other than that, Tom has continued his practice in telekinesis. He's been slowly increasing the weight of what he could lift, treating his mind as if it were a muscle. Tom's time wasn't only spent on magic, as his followers always have something he needs to manage. Lord Black is one of the main followers that contacts Tom on a regular basis. Due to Tom's plan to back him for the next election, they had to get many things in order. Tom decided to treat this as any other election and hold rallies all across Wizarding Britain. They even came up with a slogan for Lord Black's campaign: Securing Our Future. Tom thought it would be best to mention the future in some way, and this is what they came up with together. Druella seemed to approve as well, but she thought Hope for Tomorrow sounded better. It's too bad she was outvoted 2-1. Tom already has signs, posters, and clothing being made for the campaign at this very moment. Anything to capture the public's eye and get the voters they need. They would start the campaign as soon as the new year begins, as the minister would be chosen in the following year. That gives them an entire year to gain as many voters as possible before the polls open. Of course, campaigning would cost money, so Tom will be using the organization account to fund everything. The cost of everything would be very high, but that account has been filling steadily since the X-Creature bill was passed. On the romantic side of Tom's life, he and Druilla haven't decided on a wedding date, which has been driving her mother crazy. Lady Rosier wants them to get married and produce a grandchild as soon as possible, but Tom and Druilla are still very young, so they decided to take their time. Not to mention the fact that Druilla still hasn't met the Ancient One. Tom would have to get that done before the wedding. When it was time to return to Hogwarts for their last year, Tom was offered the position of head boy, which he promptly turned down. He's been offered the chance to be a prefect in the past as well, but who would want to be either of those things? It's like getting offered the chance to babysit children for free. Why would Tom wish to do that? He's sure that many would jump at the chance, as it would look good for future employment, but Tom doesn't really need to worry about that. Soon, the summer came to an end and the day to return to Hogwarts for the last year arrived. This marks the end of part 23 of the story, I'm Voldemort. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.